definitely. That seems to be a check right now. In fact, but staying with Biocon, let's get a detailed check going as to what's really been the news developments. Sandeep is tracking more details regarding that counter. So, take us to what's really happened, because that stock's trading low by nearly 4.5%. It's had a sharp cut today.
It's a well-known fact. You guys already are aware that Biocon has terminated its agreement with Pfizer. This was an agreement that they had entered into to develop their biosimilar insulin products. So that's basically the big story, and that's the reason why the stock is lower as well. But we believe we do have the management as well with us. So let's get straight over to Ms. Mazumdar-Shaw.
Yeah, I think ma'am is with us now. Ms. Shaw, thanks so much for joining us this morning, ma'am. First thoughts, before we even talk about the impact, the numbers, etc., why has the deal been called off?
Well, this is largely because Pfizer has had a change of business priorities, and they have decided to focus on certain biosimilar programs, concerning monoclonal antibodies and recombinant proteins, and have decided to exit from the biosimilar insulins business. So it's really about a change of business priorities that has led to this particular annulment.
Ma'am, the other big question that the markets really had was the fact that you'd received $200 million upfront payment from Pfizer. What happens to that money? And there was also some expectation of about $150 million yet to be received, some sort of milestone payments linked to regulatory approval. So where does all of that stand?
Well, I can't give you full financial details, but what I can share with you is the following. As you recall, we received a $100 million upfront payment at the time of inking this deal, and there was $100 million in escrow. And as you rightly said, there is a $150 million milestone payment which was payable to us on completing and meeting certain regulatory milestones. All I can share with you is that apart from the $100 million that we received as the upfront payment, we have received a substantial amount from the escrow amount, and we will retain all the monies paid by Pfizer thus far, both from the upfront and the escrow. Obviously, the 150 milestones that were due for achieving certain regulatory endpoints will not be available to us. In fact, these are amounts that would have really been received by us only after 3 to 5 years. So this is not in any way going to have a short-term impact on our earnings. And for that matter, there will be no short-term impact on our earnings, because we have always recognized and charged the Pfizer income in a very phased manner towards development and our manufacturing kind of responsibilities, which continues to remain the same way. There is going to be no change. So really, there is going to be very, very little impact, if at all, on our P&L going forward, and certainly no short-term impact.
That brings me to the next question. In fact, you would have made some projections for the long-term gains that you're expecting from this partnership with Pfizer. Of course, you were going to exploit this commercially globally. It is a big opportunity. So what happens to your biosimilar insulin business now, and how does it change your long-term financial projections from this partnership? If you could just throw some light on that.
We remain very committed to our global strategy of taking these insulin, analogs, biosimilar insulins portfolio to global markets. Predating the Pfizer deal, we have very strong regional partners in several key emerging markets like Brazil, Mexico, certain parts of Southeast Asia, Middle East, North Africa, and some other key markets. And these are relationships that we will now strengthen post this particular annulment. In addition to that, obviously, we will prudently now explore, forging new alliances for other key regulated markets and key markets for our global foray. Suffice to say that, basically, overall, we remain committed to our global foray. The big change will be that instead of having one single global partner, which was what we saw in Pfizer, we will now have multiple regional partners. That's really going to be the difference. But in terms of realizing the full value potential of our biosimilar insulins portfolio, we are very confident that we will deliver the full potential.
So, ma'am, I just have a quick question again on numbers. So speaking to analysts, and one of them had the estimate that the total development cost of the biosimilar insulin program, including oral insulin, right from R&D to taking it to market, distribution, etc., the total cost might be somewhere around 200 crores. I don't know if that number is right or not. If you could throw some light on that. And also, you had announced a new facility in Malaysia last year.
I don't think we should. Yeah.
So what happens to that Malaysian facility where you committed money?
It has to be kept out of this. Yeah. Oral insulin has to be kept out of this. Coming back to your other question, we are on track with our development and our manufacturing expansion in Malaysia. As you know, it was Biocon's responsibility to develop all the insulin programs and deliver them to Pfizer for marketing, and this remains unchanged. Even in terms of our manufacturing expansion in Malaysia, this actually predates our Pfizer deal, and we remain on track. We have commenced construction. There is a need for us to expand our existing facilities, and we are committed to that expansion. So nothing changes for us. Also, I'd just like to mention here that we are nearing completion of our phase 3 trials for recombinant human insulin for European registration. We are nearing completion of our global phase 1 clinical studies for insulin glargine, and in fact we have an active US IND in place. So we are on track in terms of regulatory development, and we have the adequate funding in place to take these programs to commercialization. So as far as we are concerned, we remain committed to these programs. We have the adequate funding for the first 2 lead programs, and then we will have adequate funding to also make sure that we commercialize the other insulin analog programs. So all in all, we remain very confident of delivering on the potential of this insulin's portfolio.
Ms. Shaw, just a couple of other questions also which have been just talking about this entire deal which took place. Firstly, will this actually give you somewhat of flexibility in terms of R&D, and also are we expecting any hit on the P&L going forward for the quarter? Will this actually amount to any kind of a hit? And one last aspect, any talks that you've actually started off, or you will be starting on the near term, any potential other companies that you'll probably be looking at tying up with for this insulin?
So let me answer your first question. There will be no impact on our P&L in the short term or going forward. In terms of engaging with potential partners, as I mentioned, we already have very key, strong existing partners whom we will work with to strengthen our partnership in these key emerging markets. And of course we will be prudent enough to make sure that we engage with the potential alliance partners for other key markets, especially the regulated markets like US and Europe.
Okay, Ms. Shaw, we'll leave that. Thank you so much for joining us and giving a perspective on the entire transaction that we've been tracking since morning itself. That's a perspective coming in from the management of Biocon. Stock seems to be still on a little bit pressure, but a lot of clarifications coming in, a lot of insight coming in as to what the entire deal was all about.
Yeah, well, they're right now maintaining no financial impact. Let's see. We will take a break. Lots of other stories to track on the other side, including why Manappuram Finance is up 11 to 12%.